What's going on, everybody? Matt here again. We are going now over Module 2 for Nutrition Basics for Mission Nutrition course. All right, so very first slide, very important. You are what you eat. Okay, so everyone, if you went through Module 1, you'll know that, connecting nutrition and physical activity to your health and battling obesity and being overweight is very important. So now we're diving into foods and how that will transform your body. What foods do what macronutrients do for you, and how you can calculate those calories. All right, so we got nutrition as a science that studies interactions between the body and food. Foods provide energy and nutrients. Then the energy is measured in kilocalories, or what we know as calories. All right, so then the essential nutrients must be provided by your diet. Okay, so these nutrients that we'll go over, your body cannot make them, right? So you need to intake them in the correct way. So you have 6 categories of nutrients, right? So the 3 main ones that we know for sure is carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Okay, then the other 3 that you might not think as nutrients are vitamins, minerals, and of course water. Before we dive deeper into those specifically, we'll talk about the energy that they supply for us. Okay, so the energy, what we know as calories, supplied by, so the 3 main ones that we talked about, you have 4 kilocalories per gram for carbohydrates, 4 for protein, and 9 for fats. So that's how you would go about calculating if you were trying to figure out a daily intake of calories for yourself. All right, you would use those numbers. And then, although alcohol is not a nutrient, it does yield the 7 kilocalories per gram, right? So that is where a lot of what we call empty calories can come into your diet and affect your weight, right? So then vitamins, minerals, caffeine do not provide energy in terms of calories. All right, so the main big one here is carbohydrates. Okay, if we are following a well-rounded nutritional diet that is supposed to last long-term here for a lifestyle change, carbohydrates you want in the range of 45 to 65% of your diet every day. Okay, so you're in the range of about half coming from a source of carbs. All right, so essential for recovery from activity. A lot of these foods that will relate back to physical activity, right? That's what we're trying to be taught about, right? So we can learn more. So this is the preferred source of energy for the body. Okay, so muscles, brains, carbs give us energy, right? Our optimal food sources, a lot of people just think, grains, bread, that's where carbs come from. That's not entirely true. All right, so we have fresh fruits, oranges, apples, all that stuff, a healthy source of carbohydrate. Whole grains, which includes oatmeal, brown rice, bran. And notice that it says whole grain, right? We're not looking at something where it's called whole wheat, right? So those are entirely 2 different things. Whole grain is 100%. That's what you want to look at when you're like buying bread, oatmeal, stuff like that. If you see something that says whole wheat and it has like whole wheat flour is the main ingredient, that's the processed version, right? So there's a difference. So low-fat milk, yogurt, those have carbs. Starchy vegetables, which are peas, corn, squash, and potatoes, right? So like I said, choosing whole grain products, you want to see that 100%. A good serving should provide greater than or equal to 3 grams of fiber. All right, so fats should accumulate between 20 to 35% of the diet. Okay, so this helps form your cell membranes, insulates the body from heat loss, cushions and protects the organs. So of course that's what we cannot see is inside of our bodies. Provides essential fatty acids for growth, skin, and hair. All right, and then transports fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. And then our healthy fat food sources, right? It's not something that you want to eliminate from your diet. Same with carbs. You need that stuff, right? Everything has a purpose. So the sources of fat that we're looking for, nuts, seeds, nut butters, olive oil, canola oil, fish, healthy fats, right? So what are those healthy fats? So we have mono and poly unsaturated fats, omega-3s, which you'll find in fish. That is the stuff that is healthy for you and the stuff that will benefit you. So it's the saturated fats and trans fats is what you want to see. Especially trans fats you want to see at 0 grams on any food that you consume and low as saturated fat as you can. So the trans fats that I said would be considered non-partially hydrogenated oils. Okay, there are some brands of peanut butter that actually have that on them. So you can easily look at the nutrition labels and you'll see that and know that it's not the healthiest option. All right, so expanding on saturated and trans fats, each day you want to keep the saturated fat between 15 to 25 gram area, and then trans fats or partially hydrogenated fat. This is what's going to be on the label, right? They're not just going to come out and say, hey, this has trans fat in it, right? So be cautious of that. The World Health Organization recommends less than 1 gram of trans fat per 1,000 calories. All right, so less than 200 to 300 milligrams of cholesterol each day, all right? So those kind of stack on top of each other. All right, number 3, we have protein, which will make up 10 to 35% of your diet, and then you can play anywhere in between. And not as, if you are someone who is extremely active, maybe looking to build some muscle, that type of thing, this protein number may be closer to even 40%. Maybe your carbs and proteins are high, and then your fats are a little bit lower, or you could go, 33, 33, 33 percent for each one. There's a lot of leeway. It all depends on your goals. These numbers just are dependent on what is a healthy, percentages to live off of and consume your meals. So protein, essential for recovering from exercise, responsible for building and repairing cells. So in comparing this to working out, say we're lifting weights, right? So the more I lift weights, the more I'm damaging, right, my muscle cells here. So the more I break it down while I'm working out, what protein is essential for is when I consume after my workout, the protein from my meal will find those damaged cells and go in and repair them, thus making them stronger, and what everyone wants is bigger muscles, right? So they'll be bigger and stronger than what they were before, and you'll keep stacking on, right? So that's the goal of protein, and that's their responsibility, right? So, but what's important is the more protein that you eat does not equal, well, my muscles will get bigger faster. There's only so much that we can digest at one time. So if something calls for 20 to 25 grams of protein for post-workout meal, consuming 50 grams of protein is not all going to be utilized before it becomes digested, right? So you would be essentially wasting half of that by using the bathroom, right? So know what is needed and spread it out more throughout the day if you want more protein, all right? So easy sources here, dairy products, so milk and cheese, lean meat, so chicken, turkey, fish is also very good for protein. We got eggs, beans, nuts, and seeds. And you could I'll even throw broccoli up there. Broccoli is a very good source of protein, even though it's a vegetable, right? And then if you can, depending on what your goals are, low-fat dairy might be a better option for you. So vitamins and minerals. So at any age, the body requires a variety of both. Okay, so normal function, growth, and then maintenance of body tissue. All right, so we're looking at minimally processed fruits. So a lot of the fruits that you might see in cups or have a longer shelf life, then they're more than likely processed in some type of way, because if you take, the peel off an orange, the inside of this orange is not going to last very long. But if you buy it in a cup that you get from a store that you might feed your kids, those have a much longer shelf life, so they've probably been manipulated in some way to make it last longer. Okay. All right, and then after those first 5, we all think, oh wow, those are all important. They are, but the most important of them all is water, okay? We can only survive 2 to 4 days without water. You could probably while having water, you could probably survive, 7 to 12 days without food, okay? So that tells you right there which one is most important. So what water does is there's multiple functions as to why we need it. So it's a huge transport vehicle when it comes to oxygen, CO2, as well as all the nutrients that we just talked about. Transporting it throughout the body and in the areas we need it the most. Lubricates, cleans, and flushes out cells, and then helps regulate our body temperature. So our body composition over here, 60% approximately is liquid. Okay, so infants up to 70%, adults it kind of lowers to 60%, and then elderly more the 50 to 55% range. So going off of this chart, off an adult, we got 60% liquids, 18% protein, 16% fats, and then 6% minerals, etc. All right, so how much do you need? So a lot of things when it comes to physical activity and nutrition is why it becomes such specific questions for each individual is it always depends. There's no two people. There are people that are similar, but everybody is different, has different needs, different goals, and all that comes into account where there's not just one answer fits all, right? So we got numerous factors that play into what you need. Physical activity, when it comes to water, if I'm someone who is sedentary, I will need a much lower amount of water intake against someone who is physically active and sweats out so much during a workout or throughout the day, where they would need an increased amount of water intake to replace that. All right, so then you got the environment that you're in, the climate and altitude. If you are in a hotter climate, your ability to hold water becomes less. If you are sick, you'll need to intake more water, right? Then alcohol and excess caffeinated drinks actually dehydrate the body. So if it's a hot summer day and you're having a game of pickup with your friends, you're having a good time, you get a little bit thirsty, you want to grab a beer or something like that, because you're thirsty, you're actually dehydrating the body versus giving your body any type of relief or nourishment. So when it comes to water versus alcohol, there's a clear winner. So then a guideline as to how much you need: drink at least half your body weight in fluid ounces. Okay, so example, if you're a 200-pound person, you want to reach at least 100 ounces of water per day. All right, so what does that look like? All right, so we got 5 20-ounce bottles here, or 3 canteens, or knowing how much a water bottle that you have, how many ounces fits in there, and then keeping track of how many times you drink that throughout the day. All right, so what about alcohol? Everyone loves it, right? So although we know now that it's not a nutrient, it does provide 7 kilocalories per gram. It interferes with the body's utilization of nutrients, so it's an inhibitor, right? So it's shutting things down. It's not something that's going to promote protein synthesis or help you digest things any better. Okay, so it inhibits appetite and displaces intake of nutrient-dense foods. If you're gonna have it, have it in moderate amounts. 1 to 2 drinks at max, but it will negatively impact your motor performance, strength and power output, aerobic performance, and hydration status. If you were to compare someone who's completely sober versus someone who is hungover going into the same workout session, I would think we would all know who would perform much better during that workout. Okay, so same thing comes to everyday activities. The person who is hydrated with water and is going to perform so much better than someone who relies on alcohol. All right, so what is one alcoholic drink? So we got 12 fluid ounces of regular beer, we'll say 5% alcohol, 8 to 9 fluid ounces of liquor, so this is a 12-ounce glass, about 7% alcohol, 5 ounces of wine at 12% alcohol, and then we got 1.5 fluid ounce shot of 80 proof, which would be approximately 40% alcohol. Okay, so these are the amounts that you want to try to limit per day on your best behavior, right? So all right, so based off of, now we know that alcohol has that 7 kilocalories per gram count. That is the indication of the excess calorie intake that a lot of us have, and we hear that everyone needs to cut it out, right? They're looking to kill off the alcohol calories. So back in 2013, a study indicates males take an additional 400 calories while females consume 300 additional calories when they drink alcohol. All right, so if you have a beer that is 100 calories or even less, you're talking at least 4 or more drinks. Okay. All right, so here's a fun study. Navy pilots' work performance after alcohol consumption. All right, so this was performed back in 1986, so long time ago, but still very relevant. So they tested 10 U.S. Navy pilots, and they were 14 hours post blood alcohol content of 0.1 grams. Okay, so skipping all the testing stuff, the results showed that the pilot performance was worse in the hangover condition on virtually every single measure. Okay, they were significantly worse on 3 of 6 measures, and the results indicate that caution should be exercised when piloting an aircraft 14 hours or less after ingesting similar quantities of alcohol. Okay, so best case scenario, if you're drinking at all, always have that person there to help you, give you a ride that is not drinking. We all know that. We're grown-ups. But this is just an indicator showing, under extreme conditions, you always want to try to be at your best. All right, so Healthy People 2020 goals. In December of 2010, the Department of Health and Human Services launched Healthy People 2020, which has 4 overarching goals. Okay, so we got attain high quality, longer lives free of preventable disease, disability, injury, and premature death. Achieve health equity, eliminate disparities, and improve the health of all groups. Create social and physical environments that promote good health for all, and promote quality of life, healthy development, and healthy behaviors across all life stages. Okay, I love this slide because it came out, in 2010. We've just finished going through 2020, and I would say I don't think we improved anything on this slide that this department set out to reach, which is very not only disturbing, is disappointing that instead of, we've gone a whole decade where they had goals. 10 years is a very long time to create change, and not just one person, but a whole culture. And I don't know the numbers, but I would think probably all of these have actually gotten worse in the last decade than anything. So, and then we all went through 2020. That was a huge change for everyone, where it changed lifestyle habits, work habits, and all of that. So this point right here, where it's social and physical environments, a lot of people have now suffered mentally from not being able to go out as often as they would like, or what they're used to. Having their support circles, or the people that they're comfortable working out with, kind of got taken away if you couldn't find a solution to continue that. So I think it's important, starting in 2021 to 2030, that we try to look back on what these goals were for this past decade and try to push more seriously to improve those this next 10 years. Okay, so we've got the food groups that we all learned a long time ago. Taking advantage of the choosemyplate.gov here. So we got fruits, vegetables, grains, protein, and dairy. And then you click anywhere you can see what all is included in those. Choosemyplate.gov, use it. It's a great resource, and you can literally build your own plate. You'll know approximately how many calories and nutrients you're taking in. All right, so grains. Going back over these a little bit more in depth here. So we got wheat, rice, oats, cornmeal, barley. Another cereal grain is also a grain product. So like mini wheats could be included in that one. bread, pastas, rice, oatmeal, breakfast cereals, tortillas, and grits all count. And although listing these healthy foods, right? But we can definitely find ways to manipulate pasta to be unhealthy. We can find ways to manipulate oatmeal unhealthily. Tortillas, what do you put in it? What are you eating with them? And then grits. I don't know if anyone would agree to eating grits plain, right? We got to add butter, like loads of butter or syrup or whatever you eat them with, right? So it's how we manipulate these foods that actually add the unnecessary calories and then ultimately make it unhealthy for you, instead of trying to eat it in its purest form and find healthier alternatives to season them. Okay, so 2 subgroups, whole grains and then refined. Okay, so the refined grains, which I mentioned earlier about the whole wheat flour type deal, is what it's referring to here, right? So refined grains is the milling process, which removes the bran and the germ, which gives it the finer texture and improves the shelf life, right? So grocery stores, they want to fill the shelves with stuff that will stay there for more than a few days, right? They want to get the most out of that product instead of having it go to waste. But by that process, it's exactly that. It's a processed food now, which is now missing the most important nutrients that we were hoping to get out of that food. All right, so that's where whole grain is a very important phrase. Okay, so going on top of that here, we want the whole thing. All right, so that's the important part. That's the pure form of the carbohydrate, as well as some form of protein. We all know that fibers very important, and then as well as B vitamins. All right, so very important here. We got whole grain. Labels look very much the same. Right, here's the difference. Okay, product may contain some refined grain. Okay, you're on a good start with this one. It says whole grain. It's just not saying it's 100%. Okay, that's the difference. Where all grain ingredients are whole grain. This is the best form that you are looking for. Although this is a good start, okay, this isn't, white bread that we're eating, right? Where there's probably no whole grain at all, but it's still not the number one option, okay? It's all about reading labels. All right, so this just shows a proper cup of whole grains. All right, half a cup of, looks like rice, right? 3 cups of popcorn. I would assume, low sodium, unbuttered, not kettle corn, any of that stuff, right? Just plain popcorn. So that covered grains. Protein foods, right? So we got all these excellent looking categories here: beans and peas, seafood, poultry, meat, eggs, nuts, seeds. And what makes it better is, so you look at beans, peas, or whatever, so you can get it, if you're not a meat eater or you're trying to cut down on meat sources, you get, you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone if you're trying to increase your vegetable intake as well as maintain a healthy protein level by finding vegetables that support both. meat and poultry choices should be lean or low fat or contain healthy fats. Okay, so if you are a hamburger type person, beef type person, you're looking at buying those patties, you know, that are like 95% fat, less fat, right? So we're trying to get in that 90% range instead of buying hamburger patties that are, you know, 70%. There's a high increase in saturated fat when it comes to choosing that wide a percentage. All right, so I know this is not what everyone wants to hear, because looking at, you know, like a steak, something like that, this is 5 ounces. You want to try to keep your portion sizes to about the size of your fist folded. Okay, not both of your hands together, open palm, right? So we got clenched fist is what we're trying to get it down to. You're not trying to fit a whole 16 or 20 ounce steak in one sitting. That is the perfect definition of overeating and calorie access. Okay, so we got 8 pounds, or not 8 pounds, 8 ounces of I don't know what that is, a pork steak or something. So we got a cup of beans here, half a cup. Yeah, it looks like black beans. Great source of protein, as well as a vegetable loaded with fiber. So win-win-win there. Okay, now fruits. Any fruit or 100% fruit juice counts as part of the fruit group. Okay, that's not, you know, Hawaiian punches or, you know, the apple juices and all that stuff. I say 100%, not the stuff loaded with sugar. So it may be fresh, canned, frozen, dried, whole, cut up, pureed, you know, as long as it's, you know, fresh fruit. Okay, so half a cup for half a serving of strawberries here. We got a quarter cup for half a serving with dried fruit. So dried fruit usually is a little higher in calories than if it were just fresh. So now we got vegetables, or 100% vegetable juice counts as a member of the vegetable group. Okay, so now we got raw, cooked, fresh, frozen, canned, and basically same of what you would do with fruits, same with vegetables. So subgroups based on nutrient content, we got the dark green. Okay, you have collard greens, broccoli, orange, carrots, squash, sweet potatoes, dry beans or peas, starchy vegetables. Then you got mushrooms, asparagus, artichokes down at the bottom. When it comes to fruits and vegetables, the different colors usually have different benefits to them. So you got carrots, sweet potatoes, and whatnot for orange. Affects your body a little differently than if you would just go dark green with broccoli. Okay, so that's something that is important to know. And we're going to hit on dairy real quick here. So fluid milk products and foods retain their calcium and are part of the dairy group. Foods made from milk that have little to no calcium are not part of the milk group. Okay, so cream cheese, cream, and butter. I know it's hard to hear, but those are not healthy options when it comes to the dairy group. Okay, so looking at fat-free or low-fat. okay, if you are somebody whose exercise program is more intense than somebody who's just looking to maintain weight and be healthy, or looking to add muscle, gain some weight, that is when you would add, 2% milk or maybe chocolate milk. Okay, you'll have more calories, a little more fat, more protein and carbs. Okay, so that is a reason to use the 2% rather than 1% or fat-free. Depends on goals. All right, so milk, pudding, frozen yogurt. Just because it says ice cream doesn't mean you're going out to get a tub of, chocolate chip Oreo or whatever. This is healthy options of ice cream, low sugar and saturated fats. Okay, cheeses, we know there's better sources of yogurt than other brands. So if you're interested in that, you can look them up. So this is half a cup, half a serving. So we got like a little parfait going on. Added fruit, and then you got the granola. Oils are fats that are liquid at room temperature. Okay, which is an example of vegetable oils when you use to cook. Come from different plants and fish. They are not their own food group, but they provide essential nutrients, so they are included in the USDA food patterns. So common ones that you will see. So all of these oils can be used in cooking. Some are healthier and have less calories than others. A number of foods are naturally high in oils. So we got avocados is probably, you could call that like a superfood. Healthy fats, it's very good for you, as well as, heart health, that type of thing. Some fish, depends on where they came from, if they were fresh caught, what processes they went through to get into your hands. Olives, and then certain nuts. Alright, so then foods that are mainly oil include mayonnaise, some salad dressings, and soft margarine with no trans fats. You got coconut, palm kernel oil are high in saturated fat and should be considered solid fats. Okay, so this is saying at room temperature, these are solid. Okay, if you've ever seen coconut oil in a jar at a store, it'll be solid. Alright, so solid fats are solid at room temperature. They come from many animal foods and can be made from vegetable oils through a process called hydrogenation. Okay, so some common solid fats: butter, beef fat, chicken fat, pork fat, stick margarine, and shortening. All right, so sources of meat. So if you cook a ham in a crock pot, right, or pork, then you have it for lunch and dinner one day, and you put the leftovers in a container, put it in your refrigerator, or even just let it sit to cool down, you'll notice that the fat that is on the meat will turn like a white solid color, right? So that is, solid fat, which means it is not that great for you. Okay, so no, pork and beef are the two fatty ones. Less feet on the animal, the better. Okay. All right, energy balance here. So if you're taking in more energy, so you're eating more than what you expend, you're in a calorie surplus, which will lead to weight gain. Okay, so then if you're extremely active and you are in a calorie deficit, not massive, okay, if you're in one, but if you are at, if you're burning, 500 to 1,000 calories more than what you intake, that will eventually lead to healthy weight loss. All right, so we've got that going on. So starting with your needs, where to get started. Okay, individual energy needs. This is where everybody is different. Okay, so everyone has their own metabolism. Ages might be different. Your body composition may be completely different than everyone else. Your gender, and then what you like to do for physical activity, right? All of these 5 play into how many calories you need, what foods you're going to eat, and whatnot. None of these will be the same most of the time. Really, the only thing that you can say is the same would be gender or age, but then your body composition and metabolism could be very different, and then someone might exercise a lot more intensely than you, so that all is dependent. All right, so building a diet that works for you. All right, so and then using the helpful resources that you are provided. All right, so comparing energy needs here. So this just puts it in front of you. All right, so how different 2 similar people can be. So we got same age, 25-year-old male, 70 inches tall, 175 pounds, right? Those are the same. Everything on down is completely different, okay? So we got active adult here, active at work and home, exercises 1 to 2 hours per day, excellent. Basal metabolic rate is approximately 1,900 calories per day. Thermal effect of food is approximately 200 plus calories per day. So the X factor is approximately 3,000 calories per day. So therefore, he would need approximately 5,000 calories per day based on his activity level. Okay, and that's to maintain this 175 pounds that he is. So now we go to the non-active. Okay, he sits at work and at home, exercises 1 hour or less. Basal metabolic rate still the same. Okay, thermal effect of food still the same, but his X factor, how hard does he push himself when he works out, is vastly different than the active one. Okay, so therefore, to maintain his 175 pounds, he's going to eat less than half of the calories that the active one eats. Okay, and that's all based off of all those factors that we just talked about. Okay, so the online tools that will help you out the most: ChooseMyPlate.gov, Navy Operational Fitness and Fueling Systems, the NOS Meal Builder. Okay, this app is available to get on your phone, walks you through so many different things. If you need help, ask like your local fitness specialist at MWR. They should know all about it to help give you more information. Dietary guidelines for Americans. Okay, intake to manage body weight and increase physical activity while reducing time spent sedentary. Okay, eat multiple foods. Eat colorful foods. They are the ones that are better for you. Total fat intake here, less than 10% from saturated fatty acids. Reduce your sodium consumption. Alcohol beverage in moderation. Okay, at least 30 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity above usual activity at work or home on most days. Okay, so ChooseMyPlate.gov. Enjoy your food, but eat less. Okay, the oversized portions, that was a big thing in Module 1, right? That will be, it's one of the factors that leads to obesity and being overweight. So half your plate, fruits and vegetables. Switch to fat-free or low-fat if you need it. Half your grains, whole grains. Compare sodium in foods like soup, bread, frozen meals. Soup is a big one. The sodium in a can of soup can be massive. Okay, make sure that you are choosing low sodium soups. Choose foods with lower numbers. And drink water. I know it's at the bottom, but in terms of importance, it should be all the way up here. Water instead of sugary drinks. So many people are causing the soda industries to be way more profitable than they deserve to be. So try to put those down, replace them with water, and that should eliminate a lot of calories right there. So visualizing a real plate. Okay, so we got loaded with vegetables up here. Okay, vegetables, grains, fruits, some meat. Okay, we got lettuce, tomato, looks like a slice of cheese, maybe some turkey on there. Then we got chicken, rice, and then vegetables here. Okay, examples. Here's an unbalanced plate. Okay, giant hamburger with about 3/4 of the plate being fries. We got chips, M&Ms, the little snack pizza rolls, pizza, mini hot dogs, couple chicken wings, 2 donuts, chips, a burger. It looks like a Snickers bar. Okay, it looks like you might enjoy yourself while eating it, but afterwards won't be so fun. Portion distortion. Okay, so this might be what you order at any fast food restaurant. Half-pound cheeseburger, French fries, ketchup. The only thing healthy might be that slice of tomato, right? Out of all that. Got 1,300 calories in this meal alone. Remember the non-active 25-year-old male. Even with his probably low-intensity 30-minute exercise a day, he only needed 2,200 calories to maintain his weight. He can eat this meal, which probably won't even fill him up, being a male in his mid-20s. But in order to maintain his weight, the whole rest of the day, he cannot consume more than 900 calories. Okay? But looking at one serving, 685 calories, and you still have 33 grams of fat. All right, so dietary guidelines. Each plate in this picture represents 200 calories apiece. So we got sliced up kiwi, about fills up the whole plate. 3 eggs, okay, which could be a very decent breakfast for somebody. Okay, a lot of good fats and proteins here. A whole thing of carrots, right? I don't think you'd want to eat this many carrots, but gives you an idea of what dense, healthy foods do and how they can fill you up. So we got some nuts and seeds here, higher calorie count, but healthy. Got a whole plate of apple slices and 3 giant trees of broccoli. Okay. I would say these 3 right here, I don't think it would be hard for somebody to probably eat an entire plate of broccoli like that and not be full. But then you could eat this entire thing and that's 200 calories, whereas a burger and fries is nearly 1,400 with 0 nutrients. All right, so now we're going to look at some unhealthy foods. So we got that picture of the full plate of carrots and broccoli in our head, right? 200 calories. Let's look at 200 calories of what candy and chips look like. You got maybe half a Snickers bar, 8 Hershey's Kisses. If you feel like eating half a stick of butter, maybe 15, 12 gummy bears, then a little maybe palm of chips, which I don't think anyone can hold themselves to a little handful of chips. Okay, huge difference there. All right, so putting this all together here. So the weight goal, fat loss, decrease the amount of calories through a well-balanced diet, physical activity by 500 calories. Okay, you can take where you're at. If you determine that's too much, start off by cutting 500 calories out. That could be that hamburger or that little small thing of fries that you get from McDonald's. Cut it out. There's your 500 calorie deficit that you can start adding over time to the amount of pounds that you lose. Okay? Then muscle gain. Increase the amount of calories in a well-balanced diet by as little as 250 calories, plus a well-planned weight training program is when you want to gain some weight, right? So add muscle mass. Right, and then weight maintenance, well-balanced diet with optimum calories per activity level. Right, so you'll calculate your X factor, physical activity, and all of that, and then stick to your calorie needs, and you'll maintain weight. All right, so a lot of information there. Discuss it with somebody. Introduce some knowledge to someone who doesn't know. It might be a family member that might need some help as well. Open their eyes to a healthier lifestyle. Put the numbers in front of their face, and create a discussion with somebody who, if you're both struggling, maybe you can help each other out. Stick around. We got some more great information in Module 3. See you then.